Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Don't Waste the Chaos, the podcast where we meet at the intersection of business, heart, and personal growth. I'm your host, Kerri Roberts. I'm an HR strategist, an entrepreneur, and a woman on a mission to help you lead with clarity and courage. Today's episode, we're talking about mindset, but not in the fluffy, just think positive kind of way. I want to talk you through the science of manifesting opportunities. Yes, with your mind, and how the words you speak, the intentions you set, and the energy you embody literally rewire your brain to make amazing things happen. Before we get into it, here are 10 compelling data-backed insights around manifesting, mindset, and gratitude, each cited from scientific studies, psychology journals, or trusted research institutions. Because you know I love the data. I love the feelings. I'm not shying away from the feelings. I just love the data. And this is what gets me going on this. So let's start out talking about manifesting, visualization, and belief. Visualization activates the same brain regions as action. So there was a study done, and it was a functional MRI scan that showed that imagining an action activates the same motor pathways in the brain as performing the action. That's so interesting to me. And the first time I ever ran across this was when I was reading a research paper and it said planning a vacation stimulates the same areas in your mind as actually going on the vacation, which I was like, wow, that's huge. That just goes to show you like the same excitement and the anticipation and all of that is happening on the trip, but also planning the trip. That just goes to show you. But this is a functional MRI scan that's showing that imagining the action is activating the same motor pathways in the brain as performing the action. So big. And if you want any of my sources cited on this, just send us a message that you want the sources and we will get it over to you. The second is that mental rehearsal improves physical performance. This one blew my mind. I was a college athlete. I played college basketball at a JUCO, and this data showed that athletes who mentally practiced a task, like let's say free throws, improved at almost as much as those who physically practiced. That is bananas to me. That was found in the Journal of Applied Psychology. So these are legit resources. I cannot imagine just visualizing me making free throws and then I'm actually hitting the free throws. Like I used to shoot 1,000 freaking free throws to where I have tennis elbow in my right arm. That just blows my mind. I could have been doing some mental rehearsal back in the day. Setting intentions also improves goal achievement. Those who write down their goals, and I'm sure you've heard this and you're like, I've got it in my phone or in my memory. Those who write down their goals and intentions are 42% more likely to achieve them. Just write them down. And then you have a 42% higher chance of achieving them. Actually, let's just go ahead and hit pause on my episode right now, write your goals down and come right back. Okay, the next area of data is around mindset and positive psychology. Optimism reduces the risk of disease and mortality. Optimistic people have a 35% lower risk of heart disease and a 14% lower risk of early death. That's a good reason to focus on the silver lining, y'all. Growth mindset enhances achievement as well. So students with a growth mindset, so we're talking about abundance versus scarcity here, score significantly higher on standardized tests and are more resilient under stress. Who doesn't want to be more resilient in stressful times? Positive self-talk also rewires the brain. So repetitive positive affirmations lead to increased activity in the brain's self-processing regions. So let's get those positive talks going. All right. Lastly, with the data, let's talk about gratitude or energy and the neuroscience of thankfulness. And what made me think about this in the first place is I went on a women's retreat a few weeks ago. Actually, it's been almost a month ago now. And the leader of the retreat, she makes personalized malas, which I've ordered one. It won't be in for a little while, but I've ordered one. But essentially every day it has like 120, 128 little beads on it. And she goes around every morning and touches every individual bead until she gets to the end. She says something that she's grateful for with every bead. And so every morning at this retreat, we would either add in 1 as a participant or 5 as a participant. And I loved it. And so since I've gotten home, I've gotten to where I'm doing these like gratitude walks. I go on a walk every day anyway. And so while I'm going on a walk, I just open up my hands and I'm like, I'm grateful for my farm. I'm grateful for this lake. I'm grateful for my dogs and the relationship they offer me. I'm grateful for the project of us building a pool. I'm grateful for the pool house that is under construction. I'm grateful for a banner a year in my consulting firm. I'm just going through the gratitude. It feels so good. And I can already tell throughout the day, I get a craving to do that exercise because I've been doing it every single day for several weeks now. That's already just huge enough. But let's talk about some data. Gratitude reshapes neural pathways. Practicing gratitude activates the medial prefrontal cortex, improving decision-making and empathy. Gratitude also increases happiness and reduces depression. A daily gratitude practice boosts long-term well-being by more than 10%, which is roughly the same impact as doubling your income. Doubling your income boosts long-term well-being by more than 10%. A daily gratitude practice also boosts long-term well-being by more than 10%. That's huge. And that was found in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Gratitude also improves sleep and lowers blood pressure. People who write in a gratitude journal sleep better and experience lower blood pressure. This is just major physical effects. That was done by a research study at the University of Manchester in their psychology department. And then lastly, gratitude boosts workplace performance. Employees who feel appreciated are 50% more productive and 21% more profitable. This was found in a research study that the Harvard Business Review did back in 2019 called The Power of Thanks. So if you've been feeling stuck, spinning in your head, or wondering why other people seem to get all the luck, stay with me. I've got 3 mindset shifts that changed my life, and they just might do the same for you. So the first is this: declare the energy that you want to live in. Most people wait to feel good before they speak good things, but I'll tell you right now, that's backwards. Your brain is always listening. The energy you declare, even before you feel it, becomes the reality your brain starts to seek. For example, one of the things that I say is, thank you so much for $1 million a year in my business. I'm so grateful for hitting the $1 million mark in my business. That's just something that I say regularly because my brain is listening and it becomes the reality before my brain starts to seek it because it's becoming my reality because I'm saying it. I'm feeling it before I actually even have it. Psychologists call this dispositional optimism. I just call it programming your atmosphere, but regardless, it is a huge impact. So when someone asks me, for example, how's business? I could say, I'm busy, or it's a lot. It's really challenging. But instead I say it's going great and I'm so grateful, because every time I say it, I'm declaring the energy I want to live in. Listen, this isn't about ignoring hard things. It's not about toxic positivity. You and I both know that life brings chaos, but mindset isn't about pretending. It's about deciding who you want to be in the middle of it. Your energy is your responsibility, and what you declare becomes what you detect. So that's number 1, declaring the energy that you want to live in. The second mindset shift is activating your brain's superpower, the Salience network. So let's get nerdy again for a second. There's a system in your brain called the Salience network. It filters out almost everything happening around you so you don't go into sensory overload. It ignores the feel of your socks, or at least it tries to. I've got texture issues because of the way my brain works, but if we can't feel it all at the same time. So it's ignoring the feeling of things or the humming of your fridge or the neighbor's barking dog. But when you tell your brain what matters or what to focus on, it becomes like a heat-seeking missile. Think of it like this. Ever decide you want a gray Jeep and then all of a sudden you see gray Jeeps everywhere? That's not magic. That's your brain locking onto what you've told it is important. And the same applies to opportunity. So when you're clear on your vision, your brain starts to pull in people, starts to pull in resources. It opens doors into your awareness, not because they weren't there before, but because now you're looking. So let's get clear. Review your vision often. Say it out loud. feel it in your body. You'll be shocked at what you start to notice. And then the third mindset shift I want to talk about is embedding your intentions until they become identity. The difference between wishful thinking and powerful transformation: intention, friends, and not the kind that you said once a year on January 1st and then forget. I'm talking daily, embedded, spoken aloud kind of intention. We're writing it down. We're saying it aloud. We're repeating it often. I work with a business coach. His name is Dan Martell. I'm in his elite coaching group, and I keep this little Post-it note down by my desk, and it's got my 5 daily non-negotiables on it that come from him. I've got my goals triggers. I've got my 45-minute workout I do every day, and that's getting to sweat. 10 pages of nonfiction, posting on the social, showing my work or success habits, and then 5 opens that I do every day, meaning prospecting. But when it comes to my goals, I literally have on the background of my screen, I have got my mission statement, my vision statement, my goals, and then the triggers on how to get there. Why? I want to see that every day because repetition builds identity, and identity shapes behavior, and behavior rewires our reality. Here's something I like to say to myself. I create space for people, peace, and purpose. Saying this to myself is just a tiny little habit, but over time, it has shaped how I parent, how I lead my team, and how I make decisions. So when you fall off track, and you will, don't go silent. Start talking about your goals again, even if it feels awkward and even if you don't believe it today. Your belief will catch up with your behavior. These principles of manifestation, mindset, and gratitude, they don't just shape your internal world. They have a profound ripple effect on your relationships, your health, your faith, and your professional success. So I want to give a breakdown of how these 3 areas transform every part of your life when practiced consistently and intentionally. Let's talk about relationships first. And I'm specifically talking about God, friends, and family. The first is you show up as the energy that you want to receive in your relationships. Declaring a positive, intentional mindset shifts the energy you bring into every single room. Whether it's family dinner or coffee with a friend, people are drawn to the authenticity mixed with autism. Oh my goodness, I said autism. What a Freudian slip. I will talk more about that on another episode. That is bananas that just came out of my mouth. And you know what? I'm not going to edit that out. We're just going to freaking roll with it. And that's probably just a preview into my future. But let me say that again. Instead of reacting from stress, you're responding with calm. So whether it's a family dinner or coffee with a friend, people are drawn to authenticity mixed with optimism is what I was trying to say. But you know what? There are probably people who are drawn in because I'm on the spectrum, and that's just the way that it is. So instead of criticizing, we're seeing possibility. We're showing up as the energy that we want to receive. I love this verse in Colossians. It's specifically in Colossians 4:6 in the Bible. It says, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt." And I freaking love that. You know, the name of my HR firm is Salt and Light Advisors, and that has a lot to do with it. I want to be gracious in the way I show up, but also I want to tell the freaking truth and be authentic. Gratitude also creates connection in our relationships. So when you regularly express thanks, especially for people, it deepens our bonds. Like telling my husband or telling my child when I appreciate them rewires not only my brain, but theirs too. Gratitude softens judgment and cultivates empathy. I've got a family member that is so hyper freaking critical of me. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That person talks bad about me all of the time to whomever will listen. And then when they're around me, of course, like my authenticity, my confidence, it's like a bright flashing light to that person. And they're just irritated AF at me all of the time. But imagine if they focused on the good about me. It would bond us together. It would create connection. It would soften their judgment of me and would also cultivate empathy toward me. But you get what you're freaking putting in your mind. So that person is getting all of the negative perspective of me. They could get the positive. You're doing the same when it comes to your spouse or your child or your colleagues at work. It's huge. I am encouraging you to focus on what you love about the person instead of what irritates you. Expressing gratitude in relationships is a key predictor of long-term satisfaction. That's found in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in a research study that I read from 2010. If we're focusing on gratitude, we're literally going to have a more satisfactory relationship. And especially in a marriage or at work or whatever that is, like, don't we want that? Faith also deepens through intentionality. Manifestation rooted in biblical worldview, which is the way I look at it. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about partnering with God or your creator or the universe, however you look at it, through mindset, obedience, and expectation. Setting intentions aligns your heart with what God already longs to do in your life. One of my favorite verses on this is found in Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Oh, that's so powerful. Also in Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things hoped for. And we're going to get it. So let's switch gears a little bit. We've been talking about relationships now. Let's talk about health. We're going to focus on mental, emotional, and physical. So focusing on these things is going to help us lower stress, inflammation in the body, and lower anxiety. I could probably make a whole episode just on this alone, and you would be like, yes, girl, that's what I want. But gratitude and optimistic thinking reduce cortisol. And we all know, especially like I'm in my mid-40s, cortisol, that is sitting on the midsection, right? Like that is where, unfortunately, that's showing up. That's our stress hormone. It also increases serotonin. So if we're focused on gratitude and optimistic thinking, it's going to increase serotonin and dopamine, which are our feel-good chemicals. A 2003 study found that practicing gratitude daily significantly reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety. We need this, right? Like we need this more than ever. We also see improved sleep and immune function. When you stop ruminating and start rehearsing gratitude, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest portion, it takes over. You sleep better, you recover faster, and you get sick less often. And I would tell you, I'm a person in my head. I'm a very heady individual and I am a ruminator, but I have known that I have to start rehearsing gratitude to get out of that. Grateful people, literally, there's a research study that University of Manchester Sleep Study conducted. Grateful people sleep longer and wake up feeling more refreshed. We also have stronger emotional regulation. Mindset shifts strengthen your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's responsible for decision-making and emotional control. Emotional control. We all need that, right? We need the pause. This means fewer blow-ups, less shame spiraling inside of ourselves, and more peace. So we've talked about relationships. That's important. We've talked about health. That's important. Let's talk about professional success and how this impacts us at work, business, career, and our ability to influence others. When you're practicing these things, you become a magnet for opportunity. When you speak in alignment with your goals and show up with high frequency energy, people notice. Gratitude makes you more approachable. Optimism makes you more resilient. Optimists are promoted more often, close more sales, and have higher job satisfaction. And this was found in a research study done by a guy with the last name of Seligman, and in his context around learned optimism that was published in 1998. Optimists are promoted more often, close more sales, and have higher job satisfaction. We all want that, right? You also will lead with vision and intention. Professionals who regularly review their goals, speak them aloud, and take aligned action outperform peers who are winging it. Setting clear intentions and visualizing success activates your brain's salience network, like we talked about earlier, making it easier to spot opportunities. And this is talked about on the Huberman Lab podcast all the time with Dr. Andrew Huberman. He talks about your brain salience network. I highly recommend you check out some of his episodes focusing on that. Let me say that again. Setting clear intentions and visualizing success activates that salience network in your brain, and it makes it easier to spot opportunities that you want. You also can build teams that thrive. Leaders who model gratitude and mindset growth build trust faster. And if you've heard me talk about the book Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey, like the business moves at the speed of trust. So if we're modeling gratitude and mindset growth, we literally are building trust faster, which means our business can move faster. When your language inspires others, your team doesn't just follow, they contribute because they feel a higher sense of purpose. There was a research study done by Harvard Business Review in 2019 that says that teams with psychologically safe, high gratitude cultures are 76% more engaged. I have a ton of clients that come to me and they want to talk about how to improve engagement. Well, have a psychologically safe, high gratitude culture, and they'll be 76% more engaged. Not only that, that will positively impact their health. It will positively impact their relationships, like what we talked about. It's huge. You also shift from a reactive to a more creative mode. Operating from gratitude and clarity moves you out of that scarcity mindset and into abundance. You stop fighting fires and you start building legacies. So just as a reminder of why this work matters, in relationships, the impact of mindset and gratitude brings you deeper connection, less conflict, and more grace. In the area of health, a mindset practice and a gratitude practice helps you lower stress, gives you better sleep, and improves your immunity. In the area of faith, regardless of what your faith journey is, the impact of a mindset practice and a gratitude practice gives you greater intimacy, in my case with God, but whatever, with the creator, with the universe, and helps you to trust in that timing, that sacred timing. And in the area of your career, the impact of a mindset and a gratitude practice gives you clearer focus. You are more aligned for opportunities and you have better leadership. Friends, you're not crazy for wanting more. You're not woo-woo for believing that your thoughts matter. And you're not alone if you've been stuck in the grind, too fogged up by your to-do list to spot the gold right in front of you. But today, even if just for a moment, I want you to ask yourself, what energy am I declaring? And if it's not the energy you want to live in, rewrite and rewire that script right now out loud. Here's your next step. What's one thing that you can say, write, or do today to redirect your energy and reconnect with purpose? I would recommend, and here's what I'm going to do when I get off this episode. I'm going to go outside and do my gratitude walk like I always do. It's just literally something that I call a walk. My walks look like I have a 20-pound weighted vest. I put that on, snap that in, get my 2 Labradors, and we just go out and take a walk around the lake. They jump in the lake, they swim. I make sure that I take time to look up at the clouds, look at the trees around me, look at my home and the estate that I live on, and talk. It's hard for me to look at all of those things and then not start talking about gratitude. If today's episode hit home, share it with a friend or a colleague. Let's create a ripple effect of intentional energy because we don't rise in isolation. So until next time, speak life, declare it boldly, and don't waste the chaos.